Hello and welcome to the Vaux podcast series, an MMA India Voice and Audio Council initiative powered by IVM. We all know that voice and audio as mediums are intuitive, growing, and sticky with huge potential for innovation. But there are several unanswered questions that come in the way of marketers adopting the medium. Precisely why we chose to embark on this series, which attempts to address those unanswered questions. Today, we'll be chatting up with one such leader who has tremendous expertise in voice, technology, mobile, and digital platforms as we unravel to you more about giving your brand a voice. There are people who are known to spot trends, and then there are people who actually shape them. That's Neeraj Ruparel for you, who's head of mobile and emerging tech at Group F. He has featured in the top 25 mobile marketing leaders in India at the World Mobile Congress. He's a passionate and self-motivated professional. I have to say, his knowledge in digital domains is exceptional, with numbers and examples at his fingertips. Voice is a key area of passion for Neeraj. And as an engaged member of the MMA Voice and Audio Council, we're thrilled to get his views today for our listeners. Hey Neeraj, how are you? And welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Monica. Thank you so much. Firstly, I think kudos to MMA and our entire council who've been doing a fabulous job on voice and audio and a bunch of other initiatives on digital. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much. And that's been possible because of active and engaged members like you. And before I start talking to you more about the topic of today, I'm extremely fascinated to see the background around you and that environment in which you are communicating with us. And of course, I totally love the Vox podcast billboard out there. So tell me, what is this complete environment and ecosystem that you are engaging with us from?
Isn't it a visual delight? I
Totally.
mean, first time any of my clients, they watch this, they feel like what's going on. And this is like one of the templates which you're seeing. And the beauty is this entire studio, which is completely 3D and immersive, is getting controlled through this smart eyewear, which is completely voice enabled. So for all the viewers or listeners who are not able to see the visual beauty of this setup, they should tune on to the YouTube channel and get to see this particular setup which we have created, which is completely 3D immersive and is getting driven through voice commands. And not just that, the setup actually kind of has 50 odd reaction filters. So we can weave in really smart, creative tech presentations in here. If you're running a presentation and if you want to just talk about, say, a chocolate brand, which has got a bubble in it, and if you just end up saying bubble, it shoots up bubble from the screen. So let me just show you one of that.
Sure. That's lovely. It's brilliant. As immersive as it can get.
So you can have petals, you can have bubbles, you can have these bunch of AR filters which can be relayed on top of this complete immersive experience. And all what you see is completely 3D. It's almost like the character who's running the presentation can bounce off from the studio and is going to reach out to you. So it's a complete visual delight. For all our listeners, you should tune on to the YouTube channel and get a flavor of this. More to this as we move along.
Totally. Thank you so much for demonstrating that. And I completely love that experience. So for all those who are listening to us, do catch it on the YouTube channel of IVM and you'll know what we've been talking about and what Neeraj has been showing us. So with that, let's dive into our discussion for today about giving your brand a voice. As we set that up, it's really important that our viewers and our listeners, get like a bird's eye view of what the voice landscape today is looking like. Considering that there have been rapid changes in the ecosystem and huge amount of growth that's been sort of very, very visible in the through the numbers one hears of. So throw more light about it to us, Neeraj, and tell us more about it.
Absolutely. I've been doing voice for almost like a decade now and been very, very early believer in this platform and the channel of communication. To begin with, it was all about stitching solutions for rural India for us. And today we have gone full hog and we are building in solutions which are creating global headlines for our brands. The classic one is India's first titanium can winner, which is the campaign which we did for Mondelez, where we ended up creating 40 different voice models of Shah Rukh Khan, giving power to the retailers to create their own Shah Rukh Khan ads. The voice is completely transformed from a one-way, dumb dead communication channel to now a synthetic communication, which is driving more level of personalization and getting people together. So I keep saying voice is clearly a 1 billion story in India. You see so many channels which walk into various markets and they are pretty much like an internet 4G and a smartphone kind of a story. Voice is a medium which cuts across India. As we say, Voice for Bharat, and there are so many forums who've been doing active work in this space, evangelizing the space, and MMA is right up there, talking about Voice for Bharat from day one and how brands should have a very rock solid voice strategy for tier 2 and Bharat, and that's the conversation which we're going to have in depth today. Coming back to the landscape, India has record number of SIMs, close to 1 billion SIMs in the Indian market, and we are saying close to 300 million SIMs are completely on data dark phones, phones which don't have internet in any form, and that's a space where voice rules and voice remains as a key input medium, and that's a space we create a lot of voice AI-led solutions now, which are not those traditional IVRS, but also the modern day IVRS, where you can speak to the phone and phone is talking back to you and stuff like that.
Right.
So 300 million absolute data dark SIMs on dumb phones, and that needs a 100% voice strategy, more so omni-channel, and we'll talk more about it. I'm seeing large number of device or what do you call devices are now getting upgraded from dumb phones to smart feature phones, as they call it, which has and the key insight and the insight which is driving voice in a big way is the joystick on those phones, whether it's KaiOS powered Geo phones or Carbon, Lava, Nokia, all of them are coming up with the entry level phones which are more affordable in nature. And the biggest joystick out there is a voice icon. Even if the guy is not literate enough, he can pick up the phone and fire up commands, bhai aaj tak chala de, play American Beauty, and the content starts popping in. So voice remains as an input channel across the device set. So there is close to 100, 150 million odd search devices where the upgrade is happening. India is losing record number of absolute dumb phones, not to full-blown smartphones, but smart feature phones. And slowly, we would say in times to come, more people would have powerful machines which are low priced, and where voice would be the lead input medium to invoke content, right? So that's a space. And then we are seeing tons of smartphones, close to 500 million plus smartphones in India, where Google voice assistant rules. It's pretty much there on all device, and people have started talking to those devices. A record number of skills which are getting created in the Indian market. My most favorite is Antakshari, and in my free times, I end up playing Google Antakshari on Google Assistant, and the machine seamlessly syncs back at you. So you don't even need a human to play Antakshari now. It's pretty much with the machine. So that's a transformation which we are seeing on the mobility side on urban India. But you're seeing record number of smart hardwares getting completely integrated with voice. So this audio eyewear which I spoke about, there are record number of smart speakers, audio eyewears, televisions, ACs, fans, and you name it. They have all got Alexa sitting in it, which is making those experiences more sci-fi. People have now started talking to the device. If you see most of the commercials right now in the Indian market, they are highlighting the fact that voice rules. Husband-wife fighting over switching on the light, and husband says, light turn off, it goes off, right? So those are the kind of commercials which are driving the USP, and voice kind of leads in there, right? So the landscape is pretty upbeat, clearly a 1 billion story. It needs a lot of support from the ecosystem, marketers, forums like you, partners who are sitting on tons of data, all of it to come together for it to explode and become a bigger business landscape, which is what all of us are gunning for as leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, it is a collaborative effort, no two ways about it. And it's also not something one can ignore, as we hear the number 1 billion, which is really, really big as a number, which one cannot ignore, and especially marketers. And I like the way you brought out a lot of examples in terms of the use cases that, voice can be sort of leveraged for, and the several smart solutions that can be offered through voice as a central piece. So that's definitely a very useful insight to take forward for all those listening in. So with that, now, let's move to, we heard you talk a lot about the voice landscape and how it has, several use cases that can be built around it. But at the same time, like you rightly said, you've been a part of that space for a decade, and that space has evolved considerably. So walk us through that journey. How has that evolution happened? Where was it, and where has it now reached?
Oh, that's fabulous. Makes me completely nostalgic, this question. I mean, a decade back when I started my career with Group M WPP, voice was all restricted to a one-way communication.
Right.
So I still remember, going with you to one of our favorite clients, Colgate, and talking about those experiences out there.
Correct.
It was pretty much a one-way communication where we used to see a lot of regional information in regional languages, and we used to drive a lot of conversations in there. There comes government, which was like propelling voice as a central medium. And I remember they launched this program called Kilkari. So when a baby is born in a rural market, they pick up mother's number or parents' number, and they start seeding information about health and hygiene, vaccination reminders, health and hygiene for mothers. That was a service which took the eyes of all the brands, saying that, oh, this is the way to communicate. So government led from the front out there. And even now I'm seeing government doing fabulous work on voice as a platform, including NLT, where they are spending about 100 crores in a 40-day project, natural language transmission mission, right? So tons of work happening from their end. And there comes, from a one-way medium, we started running communication on DTMF, which is nothing but dual tone multiple frequency. Ability of a voice call to become two-way now. So if I'm sending in a communication, if the mother wants to know more about it, she can just press a key on her phone and we keep sending her reminders. So that's an era where we created tons of solutions like Godrej number one Sundarta ke nuske. So a mother gets or a female in rural India gets a message. She presses a key and then she keeps getting a lot of reminders on how to stay beautiful and pretty and stuff like that, right? So that was one. And then came the largest community radio platform ever, which the globe or the planet had ever seen, which is Khan Kajura Station, which kind of redefined this entire tech of DTMF. Brands started using it left, right, and center, whether it's Rin finishing school or Sundarta ke nuske, the example which I gave you, or the KKD, it became a rage and tons of brands came in. They all were using this technology to seed communication, get an opt-in, and then start seeding information to the audiences who are interested in it. From there, we further transformed and we started building solutions which are running on speech. Right. So the classic example would be pocket dentist, right? So 32 oral care problems all mapped on an IVR. So you call up on a phone, rural guy calls up on a phone and says, Dato mein sadan, it picks up sadan as a keyword and throws a counter response back, which was more like a SQL query. So you give a question, my system is going to recognize the keywords and aliases, and it's going to throw a content back. From there, we started building solutions which are completely running on NLP and NLU. So you pick up the phone and let me just look at examples. Look at banking sector today. Axis Bank. You pick up the phone and you say, "Mujhe account kholna hai." It understands that you need to open an account. It helps you, maneuvers you in that space and gets you going in that space, right? So when NLP and NLU, which is nothing but systems' ability to understand the natural language of humans, comprehend it and throw an output back. Sure. As simple as it is. That's gone now completely transformational. And when we saw that when NLP and NLU is working so seamlessly well for us on the voice space, and we've got tons of examples now, which is real smart solutions for dumb phone. All the while, IVR was a dumb solution for a dumb phone, as I keep saying in a lot of my presentations. But this is a real smart solution where IVR is able to comprehend what the humans are saying and is throwing a content back. In fact, to an extent, guys, all the folks, the big tech firms like Google also had a feature phone strategy for India. So when they partnered with Vodafone Idea, they released Google Assistant, which runs on a feature phone. Even if you don't have internet, you can pick up the phone, dial on a number, and fetch responses, which are going to come in directly from an urban guy accessing a Google Assistant, right? Similar kind of content flows in there. So even big tech firms realize potential of India when it comes to dumb phone and audiences sitting out there and there was a need to create smart solutions for those guys. So our focus clearly remained how to build this stack for audiences out there and kind of leverage it across our client set. So that was a key focus. And then we kept doing tons of work in that space. So like I said, when NLP, NLU was sinking in so well for us on voice, we said, why can't we have a video output for someone who's giving a voice command?
Right.
So there came our product M-Converse, which allowed audiences, and we rolled it out with Vodafone Idea. We got Malika Dua on the banner. So people can go talk to the banner and she's going to respond back.
Sure.
From there, we started building solutions, and now we are talking about a solution which is on pack. If you remember, ages back, we used to do campaigns for Pepsi. It was bottle can the Katrina.
Right.
Pick up the bottle, open the crown, call on a number. If you get lucky, you get to meet her. And then we did Colgate Active Salt with thousands of people calling in, right? I mean, one guy messaged his or entire taluka just to get one glimpse of Sonakshi, like meet and greet kind of a thing. So it creates that level of rage in those audiences. So we said, now let's keep adding video output to all the voice commands which are coming in. So all our client real estate, we started voice enabling their sites. Look at SBI Mutual Fund. You can go and you can talk to the sites now. Yeah. Or you can launch a banking application and you won't get a dumb page which opens up, but you can get a Bollywood celebrity who comes and says, okay, aapko account khulna hai, I'm going to assist you. So those are kind of additions which started picking up. Then we also deep dive into this space of voice biometric, which is what an India-based startup kind of piloted it initially in Italy to screen the first level of COVID. So you launch an app, and BMC actually rolled this out, which is biometric, right? So you launch an app and you cough on it, and it reads signals, 200 odd parameters through a unique voice command which gets fired onto that app, and analyzes and it tells you whether you need a COVID check or not. Similar thing was being done by a doctor for tuberculosis. Launch, cough on it, it tells you whether you need a TB check or not. So a lot of use cases, and whenever we talk about biometric, people say it's super sci-fi, but Defense Ministry in India has been using it for the longest time now. Look at all these Southern Indias of the world and what do you call crime patrols of the world. You will see a dumb guy sitting on the monitor room and he says, sir, I have encrypted something. What is he doing? He is actually using biometric. So he loads up Dowd's biometric sample onto the live server and is retro matching into the calls coming in from all countries. The moment he finds a match, he says, I have encrypted something. I think you should look into this lead which is coming, right? So Defense Minister in India has been using biometric for the longest time. NLT is a program which I spoke about. So it's completely evolved from a one-way, dead medium, monotonous medium to now, which is completely creating sci-fi experiences. Now go to publications. If you go to Money Control, there are sites who can read out the entire article back at you. Sure. And there is a way a brand can, automobile brand can run an automobile conversational ad on those articles when it's being read out to you. Or look at platforms like our partners like Ghana, they are loading up the Instamatic dialogue ad stack, and we are now making conversations more lucrative. These are all evolutions of voice, right? From where it started and where it is today.
Absolutely.
It's completely transformation. Your dead banner ads on audio OTT, which is kind of breaking the experience, because when you are into it, you are listening to music. The banner comes and chokes your experience. This is now being transformed to an ad which is talking to you. If you want to engage, you can engage. If you say no, it will have a quirky response back at you. So it's a storytelling which is now happening in the space of voice AI. Correct. Another thing, and which I began with, which was this titanium winner use case, which is about synthetic voice. That's going to bring alive the essence of brand sonic DNA on the voice skills which they are creating. So now, as we create more and more voice skills, we're also focusing on giving brand a voice, which is what the jamming session of today is all about, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been quite a journey, quite transformational, and I keep learning from a lot of our colleagues in the community and as well as in the industry. So it is a never-ending process to keep learning in this space, and it has loads to offer. I would say it's still nascent, just the beginning. It needs to explode, and we have to make it happen together, all of us.
Completely. In fact, that was super elaborate. I know it took you some time to answer that question for us, but that's also keeping in mind that it has traveled a fair bit from where it was and where it's reached. Like you rightly said, it was just a one-way communication medium to now it being not only NLP friendly, NLU friendly, but even AI friendly, and having huge amount of opportunity to personalize it as per the objective and the needs of a given organization or service. So I completely agree, and thank you for that very, very comprehensive description on how voice has evolved from then to now. Let me, in that sense, now dig a little more on the context of Bharat. The reason I say this is because if we're talking about 1 billion people on it, clearly there's a large chunk of Bharat which is now engaging and consuming voice, right? So, and that's really an audience which even marketers are very, very keen to sort of address and target. So tell me, let me give you a twofold question here. One is, what is Group M doing to address the tier 2, tier 3 markets using voice as a medium? And what are the kind of solutions you're offering for it? At the same time, what do you think is the future for voice as far as Bharat, as a target market goes? What are your thoughts there?
All right, super. I think we've been really focused on creating this entire stack for tier 2 and rural India because of record number of clients under WPP who have audiences out there, and they're consuming their products, and there was a need to create a tool stack which addresses those audiences, which allows us to engage with those audiences and also to conduct research with those audiences, right, in the data compliant world. So we created this entire tool stack, as we call it, which is a tool which is a micro planning tool which is being created at a group level. We call it Maverick, which basically has all possible partnerships, whether it's smartphones, low-end smartphones or feature phones, and how brands can get a more than brands. It's to empower our planners.
Sure.
It currently gives an ability to our planners to kind of get a bird's eye view that if UP and Bihar is a problem market, what are the channels which are available and what is the reach which is available on a click of a button. So
Right.
this tool currently, and we spoke about 1 billion as a number, through all our data partnerships, we have segregated and we have created a broader landscape which is covered by this tool, 20 plus partnerships, which is close to 750 million data contacts which are being injected into that tool, and it allows our planners to start planning at a micro district level. So it's a complete nano district planning. You move away from a 20 plus state level planning to 700 plus district level planning, and we bifurcate it further because every district would have a rural and urban cut, and we overlay the IRS data to arrive at markets which is giving you a higher mobile reach over television, and those are the markets which becomes absolutely lucrative for us to start seeding in communication in regional language. We have a very strong content strategy in terms of what's going to fly with those audiences. A radio spot on a voice in rural India is a complete no-no. We've got an expert team who kind of analyzes, does a lot of beta testing on creatives, what's going to fly with them, whether it's humor, whether brand wants to take an educational route, whether brand wants to create a sustained portal around it. And while we do this, I mean, I gave you that evolution. When we began, it was all about a voice-only strategy, which is now getting transformed to an omni-channel strategy. So richer communication for richer device. If you are sitting in village, if you are a millionaire in village, some rich farmer, and if you have a smartphone which is 4G enabled, and if you are consuming data and WhatsApp, our particular stack which we've created also enables rich communication for you. So in runtime, when you opt in into our program, we can identify you are on WhatsApp, you are on a high-end device, and we can then send you rich communication. So similar programs can now be landed in rich fashion. It's completely in an omni-channel journey. And as and when we create a lot of these activations, which are the core essence of all rural marketing campaigns, whether it's wall painting or you're running the local OH or sending in promoters or working with Anganwadi workers or key opinion leaders in the rural market, there's tons of data which is getting captured, which is all opted in first party data. Now using the tool stack of video, synthetic video like we did with SRK and Mondelez, or using the voice with the TTS, text to speech kind of a thing. So system is loaded with the first party names. If voice calls earlier were a blast, now it's hi Monica. If it's an opt-in, it's the communication is now system is going to runtime transcode the text which is being loaded by an activation person who's there in the village. We have given them an application. They are loading up numbers out there, which is now talking back to our micro planning tool, which is then disseminating communication in more personalized fashion. So as per the device, we've now gotten communications going. then to engage those audiences, the record number of 300 million people who are on feature phones and they don't have these fancy devices, how do you run engagement with them? And that's why we launched a voice-based audio dialogue platform called mSamvad, which can get record number of people, runtime on a call, and you can get celebs to have a conversation with them.
Sure.
So one of our early campaigns was on Horlicks, where Ravi Kishan was talking to thousands of mothers in Bihar. We did a campaign with Ravinath Tandon. We've been a regular user of this platform. Punjab government is their regular user of this platform right now, which is an audio conference dialogue platform, which is completely omni-channel. They are preaching Happy Cedar as a program. So अगर Delhi में pollution हो रहा है, whenever the pollution levels go up, they roll up this campaign where they get a Punjab agricultural expert, they get thousands of farmers on a call, which is mSamvad. Even if they have a feature phone, they can join in, and then the dialogue happens. And those farmers who are on smartphone, they get the module on WhatsApp where they get to know what's a Happy Cedar program. आप फसल कैसे जलाएं कि neighboring markets में pollution ना हो, right? So all those kind of platforms which are now more omni-channel in nature, engaging with the audiences basis the device type they have, that's the trend which is picking up, and that's what we are trying to build a seamless tool stack or an interface where we get to engage with them at that scale.
Makes sense.
And engagement is what I spoke about, right? So every time we load up a campaign, we've got a research tool which is extensively being used by a lot of research agencies in the country today. We call it mSamvad. It basically allows marketers to conduct independent research on the campaigns. They can talk to the rural folks and get an understanding of what creative is working, what product interventions can be done, how can the product be bettered and stuff like that. So there's this entire tool stack to reach its maverick, to engage its mSamvad, which is now gone omni-channel, and to conduct research is mSamvad. That's a stack which we kind of use to build solutions. And obviously now there's a creative layer which comes on top of it, which makes this stack is same for all clients, but creativity makes all the difference.
Got it.
So that's how we are playing it now in this space.
Got it. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I like the fact that there is a lot of in-house investment done to really be able to leverage voice as a platform for the masses, which is essentially Bharat, and the various use cases again around it, which have been exploited and innovatively produced, setting several benchmarks and several perspectives on how a platform like voice can really sort of be adopted and applied in various communication to meet various communication objectives. So that's really, really useful. And in the interest of time, I know we spoke about how the landscape is. We've spoken about how voice has evolved. We've spoken about various use cases in terms of how marketers have adopted voice as a platform, and how an agency like yours has really powered it for a lot of clients. And of course, lastly, about how you could apply voice at scale for Bharat and really capitalize on the 1 billion story that we're all hearing about. Now, with that, just so that we can leave behind some useful tips for the uninitiated, or for those who really do believe in the medium but haven't really been able to actually exploit it, what would be your two bits to to the marketers listening in terms of how should they try and leverage voice, or what should they look at as an integral part of a voice strategy for Bharat?
Yeah, so I would say stay invested, because this is coming in from experience. We have done like tons and tons of campaigns in this market, and I've personally visited a lot of any brand I move into, people say that ये फिरंग दिखता है, इसको पहले research के लिए भेजो. So my early days were like tons of research where I sat and met a lot of rural folks trying to understand how the mindset was then and what is it now, how it's all transforming. And what the conclusion which I have made is there are still record number of devices which needs a different treatment. They're not going to get covered by your internet-led platforms, right? Even if the penetration of smartphone in those markets it's picking up, and it's good news for us, where, as I said, voice still goes as a lead input channel. So maybe ride on your the entire voice search wave. Record number of people are now searching, whether it's feature phone devices or the smartphone devices. Have a strong voice search and voice SEO strategy. That's what is hygiene, and we should do it, and that's the need of the hour. So for a lot of our clients, we are like deep diving into their platforms, data analytics, analyzing the data, basis their tools, gathering content insights, and then working towards creating a content strategy. What are people searching? When you know what are they searching, you can go back and create smart destinations for them. That's going to make those destinations more useful for them. Rather than we believing that we are in the humor genre, let's load up a humorous portal for these guys, right? So we are trying to understand the pulse of the audience, go meet them, and I'm sure as marketers, we all meet our consumers and we do a lot of study with these guys. And next time when you go and meet them, ask them questions about voice and how useful is this in their scheme of things. When they're sitting on a 200 rupee phone, how is voice benefiting them? Now, if you see most of these campaigns, now initially when we went big on this live point infection alert system, the key insights were coming in. I was catching up with one of the guys and he said, अगर सरकार हमें बता दे कि ये बीमारी हो रही है तो हम सतर्क हो जाएंगे. And exactly what we did. अगर एक market में dust फैल रहा है, we did partnership with government bodies, we dashboarded all infestation triggers, classic data-led marketing. We started seeing them saying that आपके इलाके में dust की महामारी फैली हुई है, Lifebuoy से हाथ धोना मत भूलें. That was Lifebuoy. It could be any other brand. This brand was a maverick brand who took a stand on that initiative and went for it and scaled it to an eternal heights, 8 odd markets, millions of people reaching there and getting benefited from it, right? And there are tons of brands. Like look at Ultratech. The mandate was creating a Wikipedia of home building, and we actually ended up creating one. And today it has a very, very robust voice strategy in rural pockets of India. And it's kudos to the team as well as the content which they've invested on. So अगर आपको घर बनाना है तो what do you need to know? ठेकेदार, ज़मीन, blah blah, all those inputs of what an individual home builder needs in a rural pocket was being gathered. So you need to have a very strong content strategy. You need to have an agency partner who understands the ecosystem well, who is invested in it, to allow you that platforms which you can seamlessly leverage. If you were to go and create a platform, it might cost you 2 crore rupees. But when we have invested on it, we roll it out for 10 lakh rupees. I'm just giving you an example, right? So it's about right kind of partnerships, the platforms, the research, which you constantly keep going and talking to your customers. And do not forget the landscape is changing. So you need to definitely have an omni-channel strategy. Otherwise, you'll piss off the guys who have upgraded. If I've upgraded to a smartphone and I'm on internet, and if you keep bugging me with random calls, I'm not going to be a consumer anymore. So you've got to see to it that the omni-channel strategy is adopted for users who are upgrading. And that's the one which we're working on. And personalization, data-led marketing, which propels personalization is the way to go.
Absolutely well put. I agree. So stay invested is what I hear you say. Listen to what the consumer is really looking for and how the consumer is using voice as a medium. Data is at the heart of everything that one is doing. So there is no two ways that, you don't leverage data effectively when you're looking at a voice strategy. And of course, lastly, like you keep in mind the form factor which the consumer is using when you're using voice as a strategy, and if the consumer's upgraded, the voice strategy has to upgrade alongside. So I think those are some extremely powerful points you made in a far more elaborate way. I just tried to touch upon it more like a way to summarize it for everyone once more. But this couldn't have been a better conversation, and we couldn't have had a better guest. So thank you, Neeraj, for a very, very enriching and enlightening discussion on voice, which totally is touching the real India, which we call Bharat, and where the actual growth is happening. So completely the need of the hour to take note of it. So having said that, I am hoping that this session would be useful to our listeners, and it's encouraging them enough to give their brand a voice. So till we meet again for the next Vaux podcast session, let's remember, with adoption and implementation moving at the speed of sound, the time to build and market for voice is now. So on that note, look forward to meeting you again and have a lovely afternoon. Thank you, Neeraj, once again. Thank you for being with us.
Pleasure, Monica. Pleasure, all the listeners. We'll keep in touch and keep following me for all the latest update on voice, and we'll keep continue to do by DNA. We'll continue to do a lot of sci-fi work in that space.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.